Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I tried telling y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Swim Lessons. I'm Dallas Hansen. On today's show, we have a great guest, and he's the head coach of the Williston State College men's Teton basketball team, and that's head coach Alex Herman. I want to talk with Alex because I really appreciate his coaching style, and I like the way he recruits, to be honest. He recruits a lot of North Dakota kids. He recruits out of state as well, and he just does a nice job figuring out the best of both worlds when it comes to junior college basketball in the state of North Dakota and in the city of Williston. Williston State College has a lot of pride and a lot of history when it comes to their basketball program, and Alex does a great job maintaining that. And so to sit down with him, kind of goes through some philosophies, learn his story of how he got to be the head coach, and also just to see what the future looks like, was pretty meaningful to me, and I really appreciated the time. But before we get to Alex, we got to talk about the great and powerful PSP Network. It's game day. Get up. PSP Network's been promoting local athletes for a long time. Their website is psp.network, or find them on YouTube at PSP Network. Nick Holberg and their team do a great job. They're right in the heart of baseball and softball season. So if you have any kids in Class AA that are looking to watch your kids play, go ahead and check out PSP Network on YouTube, and make sure you like and subscribe those videos to let Nick and his team know that you're watching. Next up, this is a big one. Sports on Tap. It is patio season. They've got their upstairs rooftop patio, which is a phenomenal place to grab a beverage, grab some food with friends and family, whatever you want to do. Make sure you check out Sports on Tap. It's right there on Broadway in Minot. And Sports on Tap is the best place to have any kind of fun. They've been locally owned and operated for 30 years, right in the heart of Minot, North Dakota. Contact them and check out what they've been up to lately on Facebook. That's Sports on Tap. Or give them a call at 701-837-8220. And hey, if you got some kids that are looking to have a lot of fun when it's playing video games, getting the tokens going, getting some family fun going, make sure you check out Planet Pizza as well. They've got some fantastic food there ready to go. And really appreciate Tony Mueller and his family for the sponsorship. And last but not least, we've got Glosso Angus, a proud sponsor of Swim Lessons. Glosso Angus is your premier source for registered black Angus cattle since 1973. Glosso Angus cattle showcase dominance, durability, and docility, and hey, they're built to thrive on the northern plains. Check out Glosso Angus, that's GLASOE Angus.com. If you've got a company that might be interested in sponsoring a few upcoming shows, we've got a lot of great guests coming up. I'm really excited for the future of swim. And make sure you hit me up on social media, Dallas Hansen, to email me, dallashansen@gmail.com. And as always, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, whatever you may use. Make sure you let it be known that you're a Swim Lessons listener. And without further ado, I give you head coach of the Williston State College Teton basketball men's team, Alex Herman. Coach Herman, thanks for doing this today. Appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. This is awesome.
It feels good to be in the well. I love this gym.
You know, I tell you what, it's that first thing. I mean, playing in the Mondac and everything like that, got to play in there, knew how beautiful it was. And it's really funny. We get home from road trips and stuff like that, and our assistant coach, Coach Beck, played here at Williston State and everything. It's kind of funny. We come back, and a lot of times at night you come through and it's like, well, this is still beautiful. I mean, every time you come back from being at a different place or that sort of stuff, and you just look around and think like, how dang lucky are we that we get to call this our home venue? It's awesome.
Well, the well looks a little different right now.
Yes.
Because you guys are setting up for your big casino night.
Yep.
When this comes out, it'll be a couple days before casino night. But tell us a little bit about casino night and how it benefits Williston State.
Yeah, so casino night, that's kind of with casino night and the vehicle raffle. They're kind of two separate little fundraisers, but together. And with the two of them, it is, the biggest drive for our Teton Booster Club. And so with that, all of that stuff comes right back into Teton athletics and really comes back to the Teton student athletes. Our booster club, they do $100,000 in scholarships for student athletes every single year. This upcoming year, they've got another $100,000 that's earmarked for the turf project that we've got going on. That's going to be amazing for our softball and baseball programs. And then too, they really just look for feedback from all of the coaches and just kind of ask, like, what are some of the different enhancements and things like that can be done. In just my second year here at Williston State, but just as I was getting here in the summer, they did a complete new revamp on our weight room. There really hadn't been a whole lot done since the well had opened in 2004. Or sometime right in there. I think it was like 2000, something like that.
Yeah.
And so they just really asked the coaches in that spring, like, what do you need? What do you want? Let's make sure that you've got a weight room that can be used and that is, something that the student athletes can be happy with and everything. And so, there's just some amazing things that our Teton Booster Club does. And I've only gotten to be a part of it for 1 year, but it was a lot of fun. That casino night and that vehicle raffle kind of going on at the same time is awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to try to be here because you guys got some excellent jerseys, like that Larry Bird Indiana State, light baby blue. That is awesome.
Yeah, that's a really cool item. They, we got a certain person in the booster club that is very much a Larry Bird fan.
Yeah.
And so usually there's something Larry Bird every year. And usually the other Teton boosters make sure that there are plenty of people around that are ready to try and bid for that Larry Bird because they know that there's usually a pretty good chance it's not leaving Williston. But I tell you what, competition is great.
Yeah. Dallas Hansen's coming.
I like it. it.
Is there anything else about the well that you can tell us about, some things that you guys are, because you guys are going to host a few tournaments high school wise coming up. People love to play here. Is there any like scoreboard adjustments or anything at all you can share with us? Yeah,
that's actually great. A great thing that we can kind of begin to talk about, because that's another thing that here in the very short future of what we're starting to kind of look at. We're getting close to where it's getting close to that 25-year anniversary. And
has it been 25?
It's getting. I think this upcoming year is either 23 or 24. I was actually just talking with Hunter about that a few weeks ago. We were trying to figure out just for sure which season it is, because we're really kind of looking to try and see what are some things that we can do to keep modernizing and really just keep making sure that we have one of the greatest facilities, that really is in the state. And it's just awesome. What a great place for high school kids to be able to come and have postseason tournaments. And that's kind of a big thing with being interim athletics director and that sort of stuff, is really trying to make sure that there are continually high school kids that are getting to come here and really just experience what we have here, because it is beautiful. But kind of like what you did touch on, that is something that we are starting to look at and are going to be, we're going to kind of push through, make sure that we get everything perfect here for our turf project, because both our baseball and softball programs need it and deserve it. Like, it is going to be a beautiful thing once we've got that done here. When it's basically ready for once the kids get here in the fall. But then shortly after that, we've kind of already started having a little bit of some talks with the Booster Club and kind of looking at some different things there. And I'm excited about what the well is going to be looking like in a couple of years too.
Yeah, me too. And you mentioned a guy there that you've kind of got in your corner. And it's got to be a good feeling to have a guy like Hunter Berg in your corner. All-time legend, arguably the best basketball player out of North Dakota. What's your relationship with Hunter as the men's head coach, interim AD, and how do you talk to Hunter about basketball, or what's that relationship like?
Yeah, it's been awesome. The first day that I was here on campus, just doing a couple of things, looking at a couple of living arrangements and that sort of stuff, I came down by myself and then was able to spend a day in the office, and I was in between looking at a couple of different apartments for our family, because just with it being so late, we were just trying to get here as quick as possible and grab a sub at Jimmy John's and ducked my head in, and then there was Hunter, so sat there for about an hour and a half and just talked with him and everything like that. It's awesome, and it's really one of those things and it's so much of what people talk about is being able to have, that great relationship, and for everybody that's pulling in the same direction, as well too. Like President Herning, very, very, loves sports. He's at all the home games, even the short trips that we go for in the Mondac. A lot of times you'll see him there in Glendive for when we're playing Dawson, or he'll be there in Miles City when we're playing Miles as well too. And just, you've got a lot of the different, people that touch on and that help not only Teton athletics, or and especially not just men's basketball, but it is great having that. And like you say too, with Hunter, what better for a person?
He's the best.
And just a Teton
So
through and through. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome being able just to have him there and to be able to talk with him on a consistent basis, and really just right from that first day of, already getting some different people that have done amazing things for Teton athletics and that were, ready to help me in any way possible to try and help with those first couple of years to do things.
Yeah, no, and you nailed that. And before we hopped on, we were talking a little bit about your past and kind of where you've been, and your dad was your coach in college, which I find very, very interesting. Can you bring us back for a second to your coach and talk a little bit about kind of your upbringing? I know you were in Mayville for a little bit, and take us back, because I'm a Teton fan and I don't know that much about you, so I want to take this time to kind of learn a little bit more and know who you are as a person. So take us back right now and talk a little bit about how you got to Williston State.
Yeah, I'm North Dakota born, raised, and I have never spent a day outside of North Dakota.
My guy, I love it.
Other than family vacations.
A true Flatlander.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Grew up Tallinn, North Dakota, so just about 45 minutes away from Devil's Lake. Small Class B school, where co-op and everything with that sort of stuff from Dakota Prairie, and grew up with a coach in the house. What more could a person that loves sports want? And had a mom that was 100% all in as well too with sports. She was in everything, and she was there for me all the time and everything like that. Had two older sisters that got to play high school basketball for my dad. I played elementary basketball for him because a lot of times he would kind of help out with the elementary programs in the off season and everything. And then after graduating high school, I just decided that my sisters got to do it, and I've got to be able to do this. And so I went to Lake Region and played for my dad for 2 years there.
Were you like a one guard or what?
Yeah, a little
point guard.
I was growing up. I was a point guard. Okay. When I got to Lake Region, ended up kind of moving a little bit more off the ball. Okay. But then kind of just depended on who I guarded and that sort of stuff. We had an amazing point guard, Jay Sewer, when we were at Lake Region from the cities. He was good. He was legit. Yeah. Yes. And so I just found a different spot to be able to play because holy smokes, he was good. Had another good point guard in Jordan Snyder as well too, that were there at that same point in time. So after those 2 years, I transferred on to Mayville State and played for 2 years there for Coach Dan DeWitt, and then finished up with my elementary ed degree kind of like that next part year after. I think I got done student teaching sometime right around Thanksgiving, and immediately went back to Mayville and started being a grad assistant for Coach DeWitt. I actually when I was a senior, I got offered to be the grad assistant literally on the bench during a game.
Really?
Yeah, we were playing against rival Valley City. And my senior year, we got a good recruiting class, a lot of really good junior college guys. And I didn't play very much. To be quite frank, I was not good enough. That was 100%. The truth of it. And I was sitting there, and I had always been coach's kid. You end up usually being a pretty good free throw shooter because you know how much it annoys a coach when kids can't make free throws. They can't make those free ones. But we weren't shooting free throws the best. We had some guys that maybe were allowing themselves to get fouled, and then they weren't going and making free throws, and it started to annoy me. And Coach DeWitt came down. He's like, "You good down here, Al?" And I was like, "Yeah. What are we doing out here though? Like, just move the ball, take more time off, or go to the free throw line. Let's make our free throws." And he just kind of looked at me. He's like, he just nodded his head, and the ball went down the other way, and we were on defense. And he's like, "Next year, do you want to be our grad assistant?" And I was like,
"That's great."
And I was like, "Sure."
Yeah, heck yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, so got done student teaching, and then went right back to Mayville and started in as a grad assistant, and was there then. So kind of 2 years or like a year and a half when you're and that sort of thing, and then Coach DeWitt was no longer the coach there at Mayville. Was looking like I spent the summer at Lake Region, and Coach Jared Marshall will still give me a very hard time about this, that I was there to be his assistant coach, and then which was a part-time spot and everything, and then the assistant job opened back up with the new head coach, Coach Darren Ty, and he was late in the summer. He didn't with some of that sort of stuff, and then he had asked if I'd be interested in coming back to then going from the grad assistant with Coach DeWitt to then being the assistant coach with Darren Ty. And so I went back to Mayville again. So I really was basically in Mayville for, I think it was like 9 or kind of 10 years in a row there as a player for a couple of years, grad assistant for a couple of years, and then assistant coach, and then associate head coach.
So you knew your way around the old town of Mayville.
You know what? And still got a lot of good people back there that we still talk to on a daily basis and everything like that. Yep.
Well, so then you're at Mayville, and does Williston State come up on the radar? Because obviously they were looking. Or
and funny thing about that as well too is that I actually had applied for Williston State 2 years in a row.
Really?
So I had applied for and had interviewed for the job the year before when Coach Neary got the job. An obvious good selection there. He'd done so many really good things at Gillette College, and then Gillette Community College, and then when it closed down with the sports and everything like that. And so he got the job and came here. As soon as I heard that his name was in it, I knew that, well, this is going to be tough. It's an uphill battle going against that. Never been a head coach or anything. And then it opened up the next year. And I knew Jaden a little bit from when he was at NDSU. There's a couple different times where our staff at Mayville, we actually went down, spent some time with their staff and watched some of their practices and that sort of stuff and everything. And then, I think just myself, I just matured over the year. Was a part of a couple of different phone interviews and some different things like that, and was just able to do better at it, and then was able to get it the second time around. So that was kind of everything getting here to Williston.
Well, that's awesome, and it's good to hear. And one thing that I really like about you, and I would say this even if I wasn't around you, but I like how you recruit Class B guys, and you like to keep it in the state. And I saw you at, I think it was a Class A regional tournament. I was doing play-by-play, and I went up. I'm like, "Hey, coach, good to see you." And I'm like, "Are you looking at anybody?" And you're like, "I'm looking at this kid from Bottown." And it turned out he didn't play that night. But that was, what's his Hare is his last name? Yeah, Carson Hare. Really fantastic player. He came, he hurt his leg, so he didn't play that night. She's like, "Yeah, I'm kind of bummed he's not playing, but I'm still going to talk to him." Like, that's what we need here. We'll stay some North Dakota guys and like a good mix. Yeah. But then I see a few weeks later he signed with you guys. Yeah. So that's awesome. Yeah. So congratulations.
Yeah, that was great. We Coach Beck was the first one that had watched him. We had seen like highlights and that sort of stuff. Coach had went to watch him in person. He just said like, he's what you're looking for. You need to go watch him. And so we went there, and we knew on the way there that there was a chance he probably wasn't going to be playing. I said, well, heck with it. We're already this far. We're going all the way to Minot, and we'll see. And you know what? We'll still be able to talk with him. We'll be able to talk with the family, and that sort of stuff and everything. And didn't play that night. But one thing that you did get to see when he wasn't playing too were some of the intangibles of, he didn't just sit on the bench like, well, I'm not playing. Like he was up, he was encouraging the guys. He was talking with the coaches about what things he was seeing and that sort of stuff, and talking with the guys. And I saw right there that and knew already at that point in time, that we were very interested in him, and that we were hoping that we could get him to commit. But watching that, it was like, these are the things that you need, because no matter how good somebody is, you come into a different level in things, there's always going to be that adjustment. We even saw the same things when we would we recruited quite a few transfers while at Mayville, and it was the same thing there. There's always a little bit of an adjustment period where you're trying to get used to whatever it is, speed or the program or the our vocabulary and some things like that. And so like things just naturally, they're not going to always go perfectly. Yeah. So what can you do? What can you bring when things aren't going well? And, you just saw right there, that was a senior that was looking for one more win to get them that much closer to a possible state tournament appearance. And, rather than woe was me and just, sitting there and just kind of taking things in. I mean, he was just an extension of the team. He's an extension of the coaching staff, and knew even more than at that point in time, like this is the type of personality, this is the type of kid we want to make sure that we fill our locker room with.
Yeah, no, and you nailed that 100%. And even like I talked to, because Game Day Media was down there doing broadcasting the basketball games, and I went down and interviewed Carson after the first round, and I was talking to him after the game, and I went to our producer David Peterson. I'm like, dude, this kid is like legit. It was like talking to a grown man. You know, sometimes you'll talk to some of those high school athletes, there'll be one word answers like, hey, what did you think of the game? It went well, but this kid was like in depth and he knew what was going on. So I was like, wow, he has a chance at the next level. So yeah. Let's tailor it back a little bit more. I want you to talk a little bit about this last year here with the Tetons. Talking about a Class B kid. A lot of my listeners are from Northwest North Dakota. Tyson Inget was a household name from Powers Lake. He provided some spark for you a little bit, and I want you to talk about the team as a whole, because you guys made a run at the end that was pretty impressive. Came short against Bismarck State, but tell us a little bit about this last year with the Tetons.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where you go through from kind of your first year and getting it, you know, very, very kind of late there in July. Really wasn't able to start recruiting until the very kind of the end of July, and you're trying to just kind of put together a roster and everything like that. And then you go and you kind of have your first recruiting class. We had quite a few that were sophomores from that first year, and so really we had 5 guys that were going to be. Six guys that were going to be returning, with a couple that had came at the semester that in that first year, and then really came through. And we had a recruiting class of, I believe it was 12 that had signed LOIs, and then but 15, 16 overall. You know, so you're bringing a lot more numbers, and also you want to kind of. You know, a lot of times be able to have maybe a little bit more of some even numbers, just so you've got quite a few sophomores that can kind of show the ropes, you know, and that sort of thing. And I mean, just the first off is like our sophomores really from day one, you know, set the tone of kind of how we want to do things, but also too not doing as far as in like a way of like, well, we're the sophomores, you know, but instead like let's do this together, let's figure this out together, and really kind of get everybody on the same page and stuff, which was awesome. You know, we had Tevin Dietz from Beach. It was a sophomore. Grady Gonzarowski just from right over on the eastern side of Montana. Jimmy Jones also from right over in Scobie, Montana. And really just had a lot of good things of them kind of pulling everybody together and kind of going through, because it was a lot of new things for almost everybody. And we were even doing some things a little bit differently in this second year than what we did in the first year. So again, it was kind of like trying to get everybody together on the same page and everything with that. And, you know, I think that you saw that we were just a little bit slow out of the gate, but also like never at points in time where it was just like, boom, like it was like the whole game or that sort of thing. It was just, you know, looking at just little tiny spurts in games where if we can turn this into, you know, stop rather than being an 8-0 run, if we can turn that into a 6-2, just mini runs from teams and just little things like that, you see a lot of different games go a little bit more, but probably in our favor. But then we were able to second semester there get on a nice little run in Mondac play, and where we really started, you could see that buy-in, and you could see that guys were kind of trusting the way that we were doing things, because we started to have some games where teams were doing some good things on offense against kind of a little bit of our matchup zone and some of those different things, but we stuck with it. We kept getting better contests, and we kept contesting even more, and really got to, you know, where we saw that we can really wear down teams, and especially if we can kind of influence the types of shots from the types of places and that sort of stuff that we wanted. And we, like you said, we had a lot of good things going there, and I thought that we could just as easily make a run and make some noise in the conference and in the region tournament. And, you know, we came out and with as many freshmen, as many new guys and everything, we just came out that first game here at home with the playoff game. And, you know, we just didn't quite play the way that we had been. We worked our way back into it with in that second half, but, you know, we just didn't quite have enough of what we needed early enough in that game. We kind of got into a little bit too big of a hole, but, you know, it's just one of those things that just sometimes happens, you know, and we did get back to playing Teton basketball in that second half. And, you know, just for whatever reason, we just kind of weren't ourselves in that first half. And that sometimes happens.
You talked a little bit on it there, but watching games, your big 2-3 zone guy and the matchup zone.
Yep.
Explain to me where the love for the 2-3 came from and kind of how you adopted that mantra, if you will, for the game of basketball.
Yeah. So we actually, it's kind of interesting when we were at Mayville State with Coach Ty. Everything was pack line.
Okay.
And it was super, we really got after the basketball, and then everybody else, we played the gaps. We didn't deny quite so much. And we really did a lot with scouting reports. The first 2 years there, we had a very experienced team. And so we had really in-depth scouting reports on the defensive side of things, on sets and that sort of stuff. And then it went from year 2 to year 3. We had a graduating class of, I want to say, without over exaggerating, it was somewhere around like 8 or 9 guys
Really?
that played a lot.
Yeah.
And so we just had a very new group, and our personnel was very different from the way that we had done things and wanted to do things with our pack line. And we just looked at it, and it would have been that first year we made it to the national tournament, and we played College of Idaho. Okay. And they ran this different 2-3 matchup zone against us. We had some good success in the first half, and then the second half shots weren't quite falling. They kind of got out on the run, and they got going. And we had talked with them a little bit about it that next year because we thought it was kind of interesting. And but we decided we've got so many guys who are returning. They know how we do things, and so we're going to stay pat. And so then we talked more extensively with them. We literally got done with a practice on a Wednesday morning. It did not go well. Just doing some of our things.
Yeah.
And we canceled Thursday, Friday, and the weekend. And we immediately called, he was the assistant coach, but then at that point in time, he's the head coach at College of Idaho. And we just learned everything about their matchup zone for basically 2.5 days in a row. Thankfully to Coach Blaine, Colby Blaine, who's still there. Holy smokes, College of Idaho is so good.
Yeah.
NAI Final Four, on the regular basis, national champions, not this past year, the year before that, Final Four this year. And I think they were in the national championship game this year.
Wow.
But he literally, we just hopped on and we just started, we were watching the film. He was watching the film and he was just talking us through it. We got to find out that when we were very happy in the first half of that national tournament game, they were also very happy because we were taking the shots that they wanted us to. And they just kept telling their guys, like, it's fine. Like they are not going to beat us if they keep taking these shots. We were in the halftime saying, "Hey, good job, guys! This is what we want." So you just don't know what you don't know sometimes.
Yeah.
But they just completely taught it to us. And then we used that for the next 3 years then, and Coach is still using it there. Now he's at Dakota State down in Madison, South Dakota.
Okay.
And so actually last year, the first year here at Williston, when we first started, wasn't quite sure what our personnel for sure fit in the most. We mainly were playing man-to-man, and then just kind of realized that no, our personnel is much closer to when we made that change at Mayville. And so we went through and we went down and we played 3 games in Gillette against some Region 9 teams who are all very good. And I just said, this is the time to get some things on film and just to see what this actually looks like. We had been working it in practice and had slowly been doing more and more of it. I wasn't quite ready to use it yet. And I just decided that now's the time because, as a lot of people know, at Region 9 and Division I junior college basketball is wow. It is so good, so competitive. They are so athletic. And really it was a time for us to be able to use this and to see okay, how do they score against it? And then now we know going forward, these are the things we've got to make sure that we get tuned up in practice to then get ready for the Mondac teams. And so we used it. We had some good success with it. We went 0-3 on that road trip, but there were some good things with the zone, and there was a lot of tangible things that that were the same things that people did, when we were at Mayville, and kind of knew how to make some of those adjustments and knew what we could practice on to get it better. And so we continued to use that for the rest of that first year. And then this past year, we used the, that 2-3 kind of matchup zone as well too. And I'm not married to it. We've actually, and we did the same thing at Mayville, when you kind of go through and you do some of the things in the off season, when guys just have open gyms, we go back to playing man-to-man. So that the offenses kind of go man-to-man offense, but then also too, there are so many of the things that we do and talk about in our matchup that lean more towards a man-to-man principles than a zone principle. And so we just go back through and if we can get better and better at man-to-man defense, maybe there's a day down in the future where we maybe do go back to man-to-man, or else maybe have a little bit more mixture and some different things with that. But I liked what I saw from our matchup this year, and it's not something that we're looking to punt. It's not something where we're saying that this is what we do all the time. It's I really like every single year to take some time and just have a little bit of some separation from the season, and then come back and go and take a look at all the film and really kind of, take a look at things with maybe a little bit more of an open perspective, and just really kind of see and really kind of throw things up against the wall and kind of see what might stick.
Yeah, well, Coach Boeheim did well with it. I mean,
Yes.
he made a household name out of himself with the 2-3 at Syracuse.
And you're even looking at it, at all levels as well too. And even Miami Heat, they throw out their kind of 2-3, whether it's more of a zone or more of a matchup. Everything in the NBA is a little bit more of a matchup just because they got some of the different rules with the defensive 3 seconds in the paint and that sort of stuff. But that's the beautiful thing about basketball is that everything just goes in a circle. When all of a sudden something starts to go away for a little while, and then all of a sudden, there it is. It's kind of coming back into the game a little bit again, and some different things. And I think a lot of the stuff as well too is, there's the principles behind it. What do you emphasize? What are you trying to take away? You can do a lot of different things. A lot of people have talked about, where are some of the vulnerabilities in a zone. You've got some similar vulnerabilities against, man-to-man as well too, but also, you are kind of what you emphasize, and you can take away some things with the zone if that's something that you really emphasize and really coach as well too.
Yeah, well said. Appreciate that answer. And I want to now look forward a little bit. I talked a little bit about, the hair kid from Botno, some of your recruiting class, and obviously this is kind of a big year for you upcoming. And talk to us a little bit right now about some of the kids you got coming in for this upcoming season, because there's a lot of people, talking to some people around the community of Williston that are excited, and there's this momentum that you've built, and that not only recruiting local kids, but you got a couple kids from Texas coming in that are studs, and just tell us a little bit about the class that's coming in and some expectations you might have for Teton basketball.
Yeah, we really kind of had this past year, we were very freshman heavy with our minutes and everything then as well too, with kind of having that big class coming in, and I think we really saw a lot of good things from our freshmen, and we also saw a lot of freshman things, where again, you're getting used to the level, you're getting used to, everything. And the big thing as well too was this same thing for me when I had went to Lake Region and then went to Mayville from there is it's a different level, and everybody was a very, very good player, wherever it was that they came from, and so you really kind of have that consistency across the whole board and all rosters. But I think we saw a lot of really good things from our roster. And the nice thing is that, by and large, we're keeping that roster together. We had our freshman forward from Australia, Tyler Best. He's going to be transferring. He got a really good offer from a very good NAI school, University of Pikeville, down south. The tough offer to pass up, and he kind of had to think about it a little bit. But the end of the day, that's what it is that we're here for, is being able, and we allow all of our guys, freshmen, sophomores, of course, but we allow everyone to go ahead and just kind of see what is maybe out there for interest. Sure. Because again, that's what it is that we're trying to do. Is trying to help them get to that next one. And so Tyler was able to get a good offer there, but we're keeping. Rex Sterling's going to be returning. He was a Mondac first team. He was a Region 13, all Region 13 team. One of the very few across Division I junior college basketball that averaged a double this year.
Wow.
Averaged, I think it was 20, 21 or 22 and like 13 or 14.
Wow.
So I mean, he was just absolutely as consistent as can be, and really just an absolute workhorse as well too. And I think that's something this community really appreciates.
Oh yeah,
is just seeing just how dang hard he played. But so really nice for us to be able to keep, really a lot and a very, very big bulk of those minutes are going to be coming back, which is awesome. The one thing that we did see, and we kind of were wondering about this as well going into the year, when everything started to take shape last year with our recruiting class, was are we quick enough and are we athletic enough? And really kind of looking at the top of the conference with, it's really kind of been science and it's been Dawson these last few years. Those were a couple of the question marks that we had, and we probably weren't quite at as close to that as what we really need to be. Mm-hmm. So we kind of knew that, we were going to be very picky. I think that Coach Beck at some points in time thought, is this guy ever going to say yes to some of these different guys? Now we got to start getting serious here. But, we were able to really sit back and really evaluate things at an even further level, just because, we really were looking just to bring in a couple of very key pieces. I really like what we have added. We've been able to add. We've got Josiah McDonald he's from down in Texas. Very skilled, very athletic guard that I think is going to be able to kind of to help with some of those things that we struggled a little bit with this past year. And then we did pick up a commitment. Can't quite talk about it too much yet, just because we don't have all of the paperwork in yet. But we were able to get a forward from overseas to kind of fill in that a little bit of that role of losing Tyler, who was also he was an honorable mention All Mondac player as well too, and was very consistent for us. And we're still kind of looking for a couple of different things, but we've also been able to get a couple of commitments from some other guys as well too for walk-on positions. And so I'm excited. It's one of those things where, talking with our latest commitment is like, can August hurry up and get here?
Yeah,
It's so funny. You kind of go through, you put all the time together, you kind of get some things set, and then it's like,
wait, hurry up and wait.
It's April. Like, come on now. we got almost 4 months here to wait until we can get everybody here. But no, I'm excited about this group. Yeah,
it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to watching some games. I got to give a shout out to my good friend Mike Reuter. Mm-hmm. He's your guys' play-by-play on the radio. I actually love him.
Yep.
And that guy is like the most Teton fan I've met in a long time.
Yep. I consider him, and I know that, and I know you've had him on a podcast before. When I listen to him, and also just with having him on our road trips and stuff like that, I think of him as PA.
Oh yeah,
for the
he's
Vikings.
Paul Allen, yeah.
I mean, he is a Viking fan. You've got some of those years where and I'm a Vikings fan. My wife is from Southern Minnesota. She's a diehard Vikings fan. You've got some of those years when we've been down a little bit, and you can just hear it in PA's voice. Because he is not just. He's not just a play caller. Like he is there. Like he is a Minnesota Viking. And I think this very same thing with Michael. I love having him on road trips, having him at all of our home games and being the voice of the Tetons has been great for Williston State and for Teton athletics.
Yeah, well, he loves you guys. And Coach, we've been at this for a while. I know you got some 80s stuff to handle with baseball going on, but Swim Lessons is a podcast about overcoming tough times. Mm-hmm. As a coach, I'm sure you've been through your fair share of struggles, but leave us with something, Coach. Leave us with something that you say to yourself when you look in the mirror and times are kind of tough and how you overcome those.
I think it's one of those things that I was very much taught, I think, with, at a young age with my parents, with my family, is, just you really do kind of always have to just be able to focus on, and we talk with our guys quite a bit about this, is, what is important at this point in time to be able to get through whatever it is that you're going through. Mm-hmm. We kind of see, and with you kind of alluded to it with, a roster where we've got a lot of guys that are from right here in the area, that have their support system, that isn't far away. And then we've got a lot of other guys who aren't very close to home, and just being able to, as it just happens, like tough times are always going to happen. It does not matter who you are, what your job is, or all of those sorts of things. At some point in time, life's gonna toss you a couple of curveballs and some things. And I've always, from both my family and then also from my times as being an athlete and some different things, that I've very fortunate that I've been able to be around some great coaches and just some great human beings. And it was very much always of, that NBA, that next best action. What can you do at this point in time that whatever is going wrong, what's got to happen to right it? What do you got to be able to do to then go ahead and not that you're ever just going to completely get past something or whatever it is that you might have going on, but at this point in time, what is the next best thing that you can do to then go ahead and get back going down a little bit of a better track or be able to push past whatever it is that is tough right now at that point in time.
NBA, I love it.
Yep.
Next best action.
Yep.
I'm going to apply that to my life. I appreciate it. Hey, give us a quick plug where people can find Williston State stuff and all that.
Yep. If you go to, let's see here, WSCTetons.com is our Teton Athletics website. Also, if you just go ahead, Williston State College or Williston State Tetons on any of the different social media stuff. All of our programs have their Twitter pages, their Instagram pages, and with our Teton Athletics, that's kind of the thing this past year that we've really kind of kept pushing forward. Last couple of years of getting more and more things out on social media, and Coach Prisbill, our assistant AD, has done a really good job with all those SID things of being able to get more and more stuff out there, more content out there on social media.
Well, Alex, I'm a fan. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the time, and best of luck to Teton basketball moving forward.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
That's a wrap. Alex Herman.